Rosie and I, you and I have been through the gamut. I'm a little bit older than you. I figured out I fit just perfect in your line of your family. I could be a sibling.
Yeah.
Let's take a little time to reflect on dance drill team and how it's changed, and from the expectations, contest season. You and I were talking about choreographers, skill set. I'd love for you to share out with the audience what your reflections are of our industry and its, I'm going to say, evolution.
Evolution. Wow. Well, even when you look back 5 to 10 years ago, dance has changed so much. And I think back to what I was doing back in the late 80s, early 90s as a high school dancer, and we always joke about what's it going to be in 10 years. Are they going to be suspended and flying through the air? Because all of the technique and movement it just continues to evolve. And I remember back in the day wearing my black lycra outside in the heat, and we would never, expect our girls to be outside.
Tennis shoes,
Yeah, to be outside in all black lycra, something that's not breathable, and so, I don't remember water breaks, what were those?
I don't remember water breaks either.
There were no water breaks, and so, it definitely, there is a lot of elements that have changed and continue to evolve.
For the better.
For the better, absolutely, 100%. And so, it's been cool to be a part of that evolution and to watch things, how they've evolved in movement and in philosophy and in just the way that you run your team.
Just for a quick question, when you were a senior in high school, what categories did you compete in at contests?
Military, for
military.
Sure. And we did military and we did pom. And we only competed every other year when I was at Deer Park. And so I think because of my 3 years on the team, it was my junior year that we competed.
Okay.
So we didn't even compete my senior year.
Wow. Was it a big spring show year?
We didn't. We danced there, and it's still there at Deer Park. It's called Hello Texas, and it's a big talent show. Mm-hmm. And so we always danced in Hello Texas. We were like the opening number. But there was also a separate talent show, so you could audition to do stuff in the talent show. But again, it's come a long way, because when I was in high school, at the time, Deer Park did not have the spring shows. They did not have competition every single year, and so it definitely has changed a lot.
So then your years at Clear Lake, what were the categories that you created?
At the beginning, we definitely, obviously, we would
kick. Y'all were beautiful kickers.
Kick, pom. We had a style for hip hop.
Okay.
And then military, for sure. And I always say it takes a special team to be able to do hip hop, because not all students
it's
are
either really good or really bad.
Right. And so and they always did really, really well at hip hop. It was a very classy hip hop, if I may say. I don't know if it's just they could. It was a very girly hip hop, and they loved it. The judges loved it, and they just did really well with it. And so. The only thing that's changed is I'm not a military director for sure, so I haven't done military.
Well, as a person who loved doing military, it's almost a lost art.
Yes.
Almost.
I would probably agree with that. But I do remember, and I'm not huge on props either, but curtains are about as big as I go, and maybe hanging some signs on the curtains. But it is fantastic to see those
sets of, I can remember competing and seeing Victoria, when it was just the one high school, and they would bring their show production that was, pretty much on 18-wheelers, bringing stuff in. So it's interesting. Now, when I think of Tompkins, I think of a high level of skill. I think these are very dance trained, but you were telling me you trained them up.
I really, for the most part, a good portion of our dance team girls do not grow up in the studio. We do have a handful or so that are dancing from a young age and are dancing up in the studios. But when I look at our team as a whole, half of them have not started in the studios at a young age, and so they're just, and we are talking to them about continuing that. Like, they need to be dancing, and they need to be continuing their dance education and their experience and performance that they're doing. Not just, this is not enough. If they want to compete at that high level, which my team does, they need to be getting more experience dancing
Right.
from different choreographers.
I totally agree, and I think it's so necessary. I think that we went through a cycle, just to converse about it.
Mhm.
We went through a cycle where the girls that made drill team, dance team,
Yes.
were the studio kids.
Yes.
And then we branched out
Yes.
and we started training them up. And then I think because, if I look back, we were talking about U of H and Joanna
Yes.
Friesen, then we became as directors so focused on improving the technique and the level
Right.
and level of instruction
Right.
that we've given them such demanding, almost like vocabulary of movement, that
Correct.
they think that just what we're giving them is enough.
Is enough, and it's not.
But it's
and
not.
that's like a parent being really upset that their daughter didn't make dance team, and she's been dancing for the last 5 years. And just because you're taking dance doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to be on the dance team. And so
Right.
that's a hard conversation sometimes for parents.
Yeah,
but
we all
we
have it.
definitely talk to our students about continuing their dance
Right.
education. I hold master classes here during the summer for any area dancer, and not just my own girls, but I send it out to all the directors that I know and let them know we have people coming in doing.
And
like
you
a
bring
2-hour
in
class.
artists
I
to
bring
work
in
with you.
artists in the surrounding area, names that everybody know, and they come in and do an hour and a half to 2 hours of a master class, and it's about 8 to 10 classes throughout the summer.
Wow.
So I do ask that my dancers try to get 15 hours during the summer.
Fantastic.
Just to continue their dancing, and because you don't use it, you lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And with any fine skilled sport, that's what happens. If you don't use it, you lose
Right.
it. And then we continue to bring in choreographers throughout the year for master classes just to help continue their growth.
Right. So if you were going to summarize it, what do you think is the biggest change from where you started to where you are sitting right now? Besides, you were on the floor in your black lycra too. You're looking cute in your camo.
The biggest change, there's lots of little things, right? I think for me, one of the most rewarding things has been the relationships that I have created. The amount of girls who I am friends with who reach out to me from here and there. The amount, I have 7 former dancers who are directors themselves.
Congratulations.
And, that's an exciting thing,
Yeah.
to know that I played a little part in them wanting to go on to do that. And obviously, a lot of these directors, they were dancers. I mean, they came into the program as dancers. And so I tell a funny story. Anytime I'm trying to motivate students to audition for our team, there's always 1 or 2 who are studio dancers who think, I'm not going to do dance team. And my great story is that Heather Brooks at Memorial High School,
Mm-hmm.
Heather Berkey at the time, was a Rafa ballerina,
Mm-hmm.
and she didn't want anything to do with dance team. And Carrie Maddox and I convinced her to audition. She became our captain and is now a director. And
Happens that way, doesn't it?
I know, and
Yeah.
it's just, I think, the amount of lives that you touch, and seeing so many of those girls now starting their own families, and just getting to share that with them, and they still, reach out to me on Facebook and social media, and it's just, not that that's a change. I think it's so rewarding. It's so much more than teaching dance.
You see it differently.
I do.
I love it.